Hey, folks, in this episode of the podcast, Alistair and I are going to give our recommendations for gifts for photographers. This is TWiP. Hey, folks, welcome back to another episode of This Week in Photo. I'm your host, Frederick Van Johnson. Joining me today is my co-host, Mr. Alistair Jolly, and he and I are going to be speaking about gifts for photographers and what can you give that photographer in your life that has everything or can get everything, or you don't know what they want, right? So all of us have those people in our lives. Some of us are those people, but we're going to help to hopefully diffuse that. But a little forewarning, this may be, let's call it budget damaging, because a lot of the things that we are going to talk about ain't cheap. As you can imagine, anything in the photography world is, well, most things are expensive. Alistair, you got a lot of stuff on your list, right? Are you, before we dive into the list, are you excited this year? Are there things on your list that you're hoping jolly old Saint Nick will bring down the chimney for you? Or do you have all that you need right now?
I would say I have all that I need. I have most of what I need. Look, I'm one of those people you spoke about. I'm terrible to buy for at this time of year. My family and friends hate it. The problem is I see lots of cool things throughout the year that I would love and that would help me, and I get them. And then it gets to the holiday season and people are like, what do you need? I was like, oh, that would have been good, but I bought that already. And I have that and I have this. So, but I have a lot of stuff on my desk. I have somewhat taken my desk setup apart and disconnected stuff and, you know, put stuff where it shouldn't be just so that I can get them to hand for today to show you them. I got some really cheap stuff, really inexpensive stuff. I don't have anything that's uber ridiculous. I've decided I'm not going to recommend cameras and lenses. That's, you know, you might, but I'm not.
So
I think
passe. I am not either. No. Nope.
No, it's hard. People come to me all the time, Freddie, all the time. Hey, Alistair, I'm thinking of getting into photography. You're in the photography world. What camera should I get? I don't know, because we, you know, although we keep up to speed with all the new releases and stuff, there's just so much out there, and how you're going to use your camera, what genre of photography you're going to do. It's so specific that it's hard to recommend cameras now, but
it's an unanswerable question, right? That's like who should I marry, right? Or what car should I buy, right? The answer is it depends, and it depends on your individual circumstances and wants and the genre you're going to be shooting, and you know, your budget, and even what your friends are shooting. Like if you're part of a peer group that all shoot Nikon, or most of them shoot Nikon, if you want to borrow lenses from them, you probably should consider, all things being equal, consider getting a Nikon. Same for Canon, Sony, etc. So it's one of them. And then of course, budget is going to tell you what you should buy, and then the genre that you've chosen to shoot in is going to dictate what you should buy, i.e. I'm doing street photography, so that requires a certain kind of lens, or I'm going to shoot weddings, or I'm going to shoot landscape, or on and on.
Wildlife.
So it's unanswerable. It's an unanswerable question.
But let's go back to who should you marry? That was an interesting little one you slipped in there. I like that.
It's true.
This is a complete tangent. I had a conversation today with my wife. I'll let you know, about a song came on the radio, and I said, "Oh, that's the woman I always wanted to marry." And my wife just started laughing, like, that's ridiculous. It would never happen." But yeah, it was Lita Ford was playing on the song, and you know, anybody that grew up in the 80s, 90s will know that. Lita Ford was. I always wish I could have married Lita Ford.
But sorry, no. I mean,
can I get that for Christmas?
You have a great wife, because I don't think that would have flown in most households. That's like
she
saying,
just laughed in my face.
It's like saying your ex. Yeah, that was the one that got away. That was the love of my life. Hi, honey, let's go to dinner. You know,
it's complete unattainable. So it was a kind of safe conversation.
Your celebrity crush. It's a celebrity crush.
My celebrity,
right? Yeah. I
don't
think I have a celebrity crush right now, to be honest with you. I know we're on a complete tangent, but when I was growing up, we grew up in the same relative era, right? So when I was growing up, my crush was Janet Jackson, of course, you know.
Of course.
Janet, right? But I'm going to reveal this because I had this poster on my wall as a
here we
teenage
go.
boy, and I'm going to go out on a limb, sound off in the comments of this video or on in the wherever, and tell me if you did not have this poster. It was Heather Locklear. Heather Locklear in that pink bikini with with the finger in the street. That was on the wall, and it was right next to my Purple Rain poster. So that was it. That was the definition of Frederick as a teenager.
Yeah.
Those two things, right? So hey.
I know the audience was not expecting all that information at the start of the show, but super
it's
valuable.
the holidays. It's the holidays. Yeah. Let
We're
your
giving away secrets.
Yeah. Well, let's start. Yeah. I said hair singular. Let's talk about gifts. I'm gonna let you start it off because you have some good ones over there as well. So you kick us off. What's your first?
I'm trying to decide to go in like some kind of order of like least inexpensive to maybe most expensive. I think I might start that way. Yeah. So I'll take the one that's closest to hand. One of my big recommendations to everybody is silicone lens caps. Silicone lens covers. So these are just little pieces of rubber, kind of elasticated lens caps that can fit over the end of your camera. You can buy them in different sizes, and it fits really nicely. See if I can point that over the camera. Protects not just from dust getting on the lens, but can protect some of the movements, some of the rings on the lenses as well. You can buy these in multiple packs. A single one's maybe about $6. The reason I started using it was specifically this lens. This is a Fujifilm lens that is a bit kind of rangefinder prime lens like in itself. That it has a very small lens hood on it, but it's square. It's got a square aperture on the end of it, which is great. Looks really cool. Looks quite retro. Helps with flare. Makes it impossible to put the lens cap on. The circular lens cap will not go in the square hole. To put it on the camera. So that's okay. Fujifilm sends you a little rubber lens cap that goes over the rectangle on the top. Nice. Which is cool. Except it never stays on.
Not so cool.
Not so cool. It's a great idea, but when I first got it, it was pretty good. But after a little bit of use, slightest piece of contact comes off. So don't use the lens cap because I can't get it through the square hole without taking the lens hood off. This little cover's worthless now. So silicone lens cap, and I used it for this specific lens, and I actually found it really good. Adds a lot of protection, not just to the dust, dust protection to the lens itself, but adds a nice little bit of extra protection to the side. So, nice little kind of stocking filler, nice little inexpensive thing. If you can buy these, as I say, in like packs of 3 or 6 to fit all different lenses and stuff. Nice. And there's all different brands, and you get them on Amazon and eBay and all those different places. So yeah, perfect. I would recommend those.
And folks, we're going to list all these in the show notes for the episode, so don't worry about scribbling everything down, with links over to whatever we're talking about. Alistair, speaking of stocking stuffers, my first one is cheaper than your first one, I'm going to guess, because we're switching. The world is finally switching over to USB-C. Thank you, Apple, for finally getting on board with USB-C. Thank you, EU, for pushing Apple to implement USB-C. So as a result, most of my devices are USB-C now. My phone is USB-C. My AirPods are USB-C. The case is. Cameras, drives, everything is ubiquitous USB-C. Tablets. Hallelujah. Yeah. Tablets, except for a couple of things, right? So my AirPods Max are still Lightning. I have an old pair of AirPods I keep in the car that are still Lightning, and a couple of other little doodads around they still have that Lightning port on them. So what a great gift for photographers is this thing. And I'll put a close-up in post of what this is. But this is it's an adapter, a USB-C to Lightning
Stick yourself
adapter.
Full screen. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let me do that. Yeah. There you go. Not you, me. Yeah, so this guy, It's gonna have trouble focusing on that. My camera likes it's set to focus on faces, but here it is. So it's lightning on one side and then USB-C on the other side. That's it. Very simple.
Ooh.
Boom, right? And I keep one of them by my desk because every now and then I use that phone back there on top of that display. That's an iPhone 12 that I use for B-roll and it's basically a glorified webcam, right? But it's of course lightning. So when it dies, I need to plug it in and charge it, or use it if I want to use it as continuity camera or as a continuity camera. I have to plug it into the Mac because Wi-Fi is not that great for that. But you always find yourself needing one of these. So get the photographer in your life one of these or a set of these. I think I got a set of 3. I think they come in 3 and 6, and I'm going to say under $20 for this, and it's a lifesaver because otherwise you're buying new cables and all the things. And I would suggest going both directions. So get a USB-C to Lightning and a Lightning to USB-C so that you have flexibility depending on your cable setup in your house, and just throw them in the bag or keep them on your desk, and it will hopefully get you through this era between USB-C ubiquity and the legacy Lightning adapters. So yeah, and Alistair, you've got to have a couple of those laying around, right? The little adapters.
I have lots of adapters. I especially have. Let me see if I can pull some more of my desk apart.
Yeah.
I also have a lot of USB-A to USB-C.
Yeah,
because I still have a few things that are USB-A, some switchers and stuff for when we're live streaming. I have all sorts of adapters, and I thought I had all my angles covered until the most recent flight I went on. I flew out to Denver a few weeks ago, and I got caught out. I thought I had everything. I switched to iPhone 15, which is USB-C, and I thought I had all the right cables in place, and then I realized that I still use Bose in-ear noise-cancelling headphones, which still have a 3.5mm jack on the end of them. But I have the little white 3.5mm to Lightning connector.
That little dongle thingy, yeah.
And I forgot to get one to go to USB-C, so I couldn't use my headphones. And then also I found that to charge my phone on the flight, I needed USB-A to USB-C.
Yeah,
because most of the airlines have USB-A charging points, not USB-C. Still a couple little areas that you need dongles and adapters, and on that flight I got caught out by not having the right one.
And on that flight,
I just switched to the 15.
Right, on that flight, these dongles become the most valuable thing on the world, right?
Oh yeah, you could trade them for a first class ticket. People are like tearing their hair out on a 12-hour flight without their headphones. They would give their firstborn for one.
Get yourself, or exactly, or the photographer in your life, just a bunch of dongles, right? I'll list out a bunch in the notes, but just dongles, or the not even the dongles, the adapters, just for this bridge period until it's going to be a while, like, because you mentioned like aircraft, right? It takes a decade for those things to kind of catch up to mainstream. So yeah, we're going to be with these adapters for a while, so live with them and get them for your photographer friend. Or anybody else, for that matter. Anybody that uses technology, it's a great stocking stuffer. All right, what's your next one?
I just found one that it's not quite. It's cheaper than the last one, but it's not as cheap as those dongles. So it might be. These are always cool. These little accessory tools that you can take with you.
Yeah.
These are especially useful. The hex key, the Allen key section, is always really useful for when you're traveling with tripods. After many years of use and abuse, tripod legs get loose, get a little shugly, as we would say over here in Scotland, a little loose, a little disconnected, and having this to hand just to tighten it up. This part here fits various different bolt heads. So you've got a few different sizes of these, but this, of course, is the most important one at the top. You know what that one's for, right?
The bottle opener. Yeah.
Bottle opener, yeah, that's the most important one.
Of course. Yeah, those
And
are good.
most brands make this specific one. This from a lot of the tripod companies and stuff. So yeah, carry that about just to those legs.
And that one, that one, that's basically replacing the little Allen wrench that you get with tripods and all that, right? So it replaces the Allen wrench and gives you kind of a knob and of course the bottle opener. So it's a multi-tool that should be in every photographer's bag for sure.
Some tripod companies make it really simple to keep that Allen wrench safe. Most of them don't. Like, it's normally an accessory in the packet, and it's the first thing you do is put it somewhere, and it never travels with you. Having something like this in your camera bag can be a lifesaver.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so we're moving up the chain. That was your second one. So my next one is slightly more expensive, and it's a little product that comes from a company called Belkin. And you guys know, so I mentioned that camera back there. What's holding that on top of that display is one of these right here, and I'll put it in post again. I'll put this full screen so you guys can see it. So what this is it's an adapter so that you can use a MagSafe compatible phone, i.e. an iPhone, on top of your laptop or just monitor like that. And these things are really well made. So basically you clamp this it goes this way. So you put it on the top of your display. This moves back and forth. The actual part that holds the camera or the phone moves back and forth like that, so you can get it kind of as flush to the front of the screen as you want. And then it's really adjustable. So this is a dampened kind of arm here and a clamp that clamps on the back of the screen. Or actually, it clamps on the front of the screen here, and then this piece kind of pulls to the back, and you adjust it as necessary. This is like a piece of kit that I'll probably have for, I don't know, 100 years or more. And the cool thing about it is I bought 3 of these. I bought one because my setup is basically 2 workstations. So I have this workstation, that one back there for like cerebral writing and all that. And then I keep one in the bag because there's a 1/4-20 screw in on the back here. So you can put this on top of your tripod if you want to do mobile, recording on your phone or selfies or stuff like that with it. So, or just put it on top of the desk like this, and it becomes a stand for your phone wherever you are. So tiny, it's heavy, made of, metal, some kind of metal. I'm guessing aluminum or aluminium. Throw it in your bag and you're good to go. I got it specifically because I wanted to experiment, and I still am experimenting with, is it possible to use an iPhone instead of this camera that I'm on right now to do live or shows like this? So I'm on a proper Panasonic Lumix BG H1. Box camera, which is great. Love this camera, but it's big, it's bulky, and it's locked down to the camera, to the desktop. It's on an arm. It's not flexible. So I'm looking at, does it make sense, and can I use just an iPhone to replace this guy, and what are the trade-offs? So we'll see how it goes. First, I'll tell you, the first couple of experiments have been a fail because I like the depth of field. I like the definition that this camera gives me, all the things. Maybe I'm spoiled, but I like that level of quality, and the computational photography bokeh that you can get, using Apple's stuff is just not there when it comes to looking seamless. It doesn't look horrible, but it's distracting. So people kind of look and say, is that background real? Look at the edge. You don't want people looking for the flaws in your work. So still working on it, but this is from Belkin. I would suggest getting 1 or 2 of these, maybe 2. Get one, throw it in your bag, and get another one and keep it next to your computer if you can do that. And you won't be sorry. These solve a really real problem that was introduced when Apple introduced the capability for continuity camera. And here's the bonus. The bonus for this. So Apple also enabled Apple TVs to work with FaceTime now. So if you have a late model Apple TV, it will work with FaceTime. But then the problem becomes, well, how do I get my phone on top of the television or in the living room? Boom, right here. This goes right on top of your TV. Set your phone up there. Everybody's happy. So check it out. Really good purchase.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That is a cool one. I like that. And Belkin's a great company, so they're always making good, reliable stuff that just works.
Yep, it just works.
Right. I got another one for you. This one is from a company that many of you recognize, a company called Anker, and it's a power bank. I think it's almost impossible now to go on any kind of field trip or production trip or shoot without taking a power bank with you. We have so many things now that need charged, and for years Anker has been my go-to when it comes to power banks. And what I think is really important now is USB-C. So having power banks now that we can charge multiple devices from to USB-C. This one's 20,000 megaamp hours, so we'll charge, your iPhone a dozen times. It will charge, your iPads. It will charge, a whole bunch of things. But what's really cool is now that it's USB-C, I know the cameras I use, my Fujifilm cameras, I can charge my camera batteries in the camera via the USB connection. Mm-hmm. So when I'm out traveling, I'm on the field, suddenly I now have a solution to charge my camera batteries in the wild, using USB-C from a power bank into the camera. But of course, even better, you can buy little USB-C charging docks now, for I can't reach it, but again, just a little USB-C. The one for the Fujifilm I have it can charge 2 batteries at a time. Just plug it into that, and USB is solving so many solutions at the moment, that I find it really good. But these power banks, they're about $50. You can spend $100 on some of the latest ones, and they will charge your laptop. They're 65 watt, 200 watt capable power banks, but they'll cost you hundreds of bucks. Something that's going to be able to charge your camera batteries, charge your tablet, charge your phone multiple times, somewhere around $50. But make sure you get the high speed USB-C capable ones, because that is the way the world is going. And I just noticed that on the back of this one is something else I should have recommended, but I don't have it to hand. I'm a sucker for labeling things. I have a labeler. That's another gift that we should have. When I go on production, I'll take dozens of batteries with me. I'll take items like this. I'll take a whole bunch of accessories, hard drives, lenses, lens caps. Everything has a little label on it, a yellow label that has my initials and some kind of number, so that when you're on site or on production or on a shoot, someone says, "Oh, can I borrow this? Can I borrow that?" Then you have a better chance of getting it back. So yeah, labelers a little additional one, but I'm sure you must have a few power banks in your life.
I do. Yeah. I have a couple of those, and like you say, they're all Anker. I'm pretty sure Anker is a go-to, and I try to keep. I think I have 3 or 4 of those, and I keep one in the car just in case, right? Mm-hmm. Just like for whatever, because I've found at least maybe 3 or 4 times over the past year I've needed one in the car and didn't have one, right? Or something's dying and I need to get out of the car, so I can't charge in the car. I need to be mobile, but my phone's about to die. Yep. Boom, save the day. Have that thing around. But yeah, those are fantastic. One thing I saw earlier, actually a couple days ago, that I was like, oh, I want that. It was a power bank, but it was configured so that it had enough. I'm no electrician, but it was configured so that you could jumpstart a car with it. But it also had USB-A and USB-C ports on it to charge. So it's basically purpose-built to keep in the car, with the emergency kit in the car, which made sense. So you're going to keep it in the car. Yeah, it actually did have a flashlight on it. Yeah. So it had a flashlight on and everything. So that, for the car, I'm looking at it, that to replace the one that's in the car with one like that, just, be done with it.
In these latest ones, the battery technology, it holds its charge for a long time. So leaving it in the car, you're going to have some charge in there. The reason Frederick and I probably both buy Ankers, probably for the same reason. When you're dealing with battery technology, something that you're going to leave charging somewhere, I don't mess about with cheap knockoffs and unknown brands. I want a brand that I trust when it comes to rechargeable, something that I may leave in my office charging overnight or whatever, an Anchor time after time after time has proven themselves to be a trusty brand when it comes to battery technology.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, they're rock solid. And you're right. The one hole in my keep a power bank in the car plan is there's no way to know if it's, or what the state of charge of that battery is. Cause you don't want to okay, I'm in an emergency situation and I really need that battery. And then wah, wah, it's dead also. It would be great. I don't know feasibility, but it would be great if there was some sort of, app to go with these things that would, or some sort of messaging that would give you an alert to let you know when the battery dips below a certain level, just to give you some kind of kick in the pants to go.
Those would be good, but they would take power. They would take power to do it. That's the compromise.
Yeah, exactly. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yeah. Well, speaking of Anchor, my next one is this guy. So have you seen these, Alistair?
Oh, the travel cube, right?
The cube.
I have been looking at that. I haven't. Oh, maybe that's one that can go on my list if anybody's listening. I haven't bitten the bullet on that one yet. But
no,
is it good?
I bought. I have 3 of these now. So this one, for the folks, for the uninitiated, why do I have 3, right? So I've got one that sits on the bedroom nightstand, or actually on both bedroom nightstands. And then I have one that sits in here in the office. And the reason I got them, again, Apple, right? When Apple introduced the whole, I forget what the name of the feature is, but the nightstand display, when you turn your phone horizontal, when it's locked, it will go into that nightstand display. Perfect accessory for that, because the way this works is it's a cube, but it's a MagSafe. So you plug it in USB-C on the back. This is MagSafe, so magnetic. You can put your phone on top of it, or whatever can charge through MagSafe can go on the top. But this is articulated up like that. So it sits on your desk. Your phone sits on the front. It's charging, looks good. Everybody's happy. But when you rotate it up, this surface back here is also MagSafe. So you can put things like AirPods on it right there. So now I'm charging my phone and my AirPods simultaneously from the same device. But wait, there's more. There's a hidden little drawer on the side here. It's spring loaded. You press that, it pops out, and bada boom, bada bing. My watch now has a little perch for it to charge. So all 3 of the devices that I use mostly during the day are able to just be charged through this one little thing. And it's weighted. So, obviously you can't tell on screen, but this has a good heft to it. So you're not dragging it around when you try to attach things to it and unattach them. It's heavy, it's weighted, it feels good in the hand. It feels like it's going to last for a while, right? It's got a little LED on the front to let you know that it is in fact plugged in, or I'm sorry, on the back here to let you know that it is plugged in when you plug it in and it's getting a charge, or its current is running through it. And that's literally all there is to it. It's just a cube that has surfaces on it, MagSafe surfaces to charge your MagSafe devices, and it works every time, all the time. And again, like that other Anchor device, or like the other, no, that was Belkin, that Belkin device that goes on top of your television or your display, this feels like it will outlast me if I don't take it outside and run it over with a car, right? It is a solid piece of kit that's going to be around forever. Or at least as long, it'll last until the next one comes out that I need to buy. So, so
it's very tempting.
You got to get one.
I have looked at it.
You got to get one.
Yeah,
They're
I have
not
looked
cheap,
at it.
though.
I bought a travel version of that by another brand, which folds up. It's lightweight, folds up. You can do your phone. But here's the interesting thing: it's so light that when you pick your phone up, everything flies off with it.
Yep.
The phone, if you so you have to get in the habit of taking your watch off, taking the AirPods off, and then disconnecting the thing, because you're paying the price of having it light for travel use. But the MagSafe connector is so strong that you just literally lifts off.
That was the brilliance of this one.
Have to check that out. What's the kind of price point on that?
This one, I got this from the Apple store, so it was. I paid probably $200 more than I should have. I want to say this was in the 150 range, 150, 200. So for what it is, like if you look at it, if you look at the build of materials that it took to put this thing together, no, it's not $200 worth of stuff, but the quality and the way that this thing is assembled, I would buy it again, which I have, right? I may buy another one because it's that good. And it feels like the perfect gift, right? For anybody that uses any device that uses that technology, where there's Android or iOS. It just feels like if you don't have this one, it solves that problem. Especially if it's that person that has all those things, right? You have the phone, you got the AirPods, you got the watch, and you got cables running all over the place on the nightstand, and you're trying to figure it out. It's leading to stress every night, and sometimes things pop off and didn't charge. So this thing solved all that. It neatened up my entire nightstand. Now there's one cable coming into this thing, and the ritual at the end of the night, sit on the edge of the bed, take off all of my Borg attachments and put them on the charger, and put myself on the charger, and wake up and do it all over again. So yeah.
Question for you: that single cable that's going into it,
yeah,
does that have to go into a power bank, like a 20-watt power source on the wall, or does it come with that? Or
it comes with it. It comes with it.
It comes with it. Right.
Yep. It comes with it. So yeah, it's all set. It comes with its own power adapter or power box, and you just two USB-C or a cable that's USB-C on both ends, plugs into that thing, plugs into your device, and throw your stuff on it. You're charging. It's great. And if you have an iPhone 5, the one thing that I'm not sure about this, because that MagSafe technology is actually QI technology, right? So that they just introduced a new wireless charging. They just introduced a new version of that, which is version 2.0 or 2.1. I have to look it up, but it allegedly charges much, much faster than the old version, which I'm sure this uses. So I'm guessing they will update this to that at some point in the future, but who knows, right? Because the ubiquity of the old one is so deep. I don't know when they would do that. I wouldn't wait, is the point. If you need one and you have someone in your life that needs one, just go ahead and grab it. And when the new one comes out, maybe grab that one, and you'll just use both, right? So,
but even with that existing speed, sitting on your nightstand overnight, it's not a problem. Like there's no issue. At all.
Yeah. Since I got those things, not at all. Like I said, you get into that routine, you throw your stuff on the charger, and you wake up, you put it back on, everything's 100%. It just works. I feel like it should be like an Apple product, to be honest with you. And it feels very Apple in its construction. Like it feels well made. Not that everything Apple makes is well made, but of the well made things that Apple makes, it feels like they had that attention to detail. Even going, like you mentioned, the weight, and when the user experience of taking your devices off of this, and fighting with the MagSafe, it feels like they've loaded this thing with like lead up to right here because it's heavy, it's dense, there's some mass here. So yeah, it's great. It's not a toy. It's not one of those cheap, because I've bought a bunch of those cheap Amazon ones that and they all fall apart. This is not that. It's the real deal. So yeah.
Nice. Always nice to have a little something solid and heavy beside your bed at night. You just never know.
Yep. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Absolutely.
You mentioned AirPods there for a few times. My next thing is also a pod, but it is the aptly named Platypod. Platypod tripod replacement type thing. That's not the tagline they use, but many years ago, I was very fortunate to meet Larry, who makes Platypod, at a trade show, and he showcased me this little plate that is a very minimal travel tripod, and I was like, I don't get it. I don't understand. It's just a plate. How can it be a tripod? Well, I started carrying this with me everywhere I went, and I cannot tell you how many times this has got me out of scrape on a production or a shoot where I have to attach my camera to something and there's nothing suitable. Tripod's too tall, too high, too awkward. With this little thing, I got a little ball head that goes on the top, on the thread on the top, and then I can just sit this on the ground if I wanted to just level and use the ball head to level off. It comes with little spiky feet. Let's see if I can do this so the camera can see it. It comes with little spiky feet, so I can put this on uneven ground and level it up using the spiky feet. What one of the ways I use it more often than not is it comes with this Velcro strap. Other fastening names are available, but we'll call it Velcro for now. This strap's long enough that it can go around a tree. It can go around a fence post, and what it does is it weaves itself into the platypod, like so, very simply. And then you wrap that around a tree, and suddenly you have a ball head fixed to something.
Nice. Yeah.
Wrap it around a fence post. I've strapped this to the pack of pickups. I've sat it on the roofs of vehicles. And it weighs nothing. You know, it's machined aluminium or aluminum, depending on where you're sitting. It's machined aluminium, super light. This slips just into like the water pocket of your camera bag or any little, you know, spare pocket that you have, even in the back of your jeans. It's super light. This is the small one. This is the Ultra. They do a slightly bigger one. These ones are a few years old now, and I mean it looks immaculate. It looks like I haven't used it. It's bomb proof. It's really, really solid. If you wanted to fix it permanently to somewhere, you can literally just, you know, screw it to a fence post or fix it to concrete, whatever. It's got areas that you can do that on it. The latest, greatest version of the Platypod has these little spike feet permanently attached to it, and they are able to fold. They kind of rotate backwards and fold flat, so you don't have to screw them through it. Cool little device. I mean, the Ultra, I think, is about $90. Including, you know, it comes with the feet and the straps. The bigger one, I think, is called the Max. It's slightly bigger if you're carrying, you know, maybe a bigger lenses or that type of stuff. But if you want to shoot low, if you want to shoot in awkward places, this is a great little device. And I was not convinced when I first saw it. I didn't get it. It's like, it's just a flat piece of metal. You know, it's a piece of metal. It's just going to hold my why you know, it's like sitting my camera on the ground. Yes, it is, but you can adjust the ball head and you can adjust the camera angle. Check them out. Platypod, great little device, pretty inexpensive, and it's the sort of thing on a production when you're not sure where you're going to be shooting, what conditions you're going to be shooting in. A tripod isn't always the perfect solution, and more often than not, I find Platypod digs us out a hole. You literally could dig a hole with this thing. Actually, it feels
it could save your life one day, right?
It's like military grade, right? You know.
It is. You know, I had the opportunity to have Larry on the show a couple of times over the years, as he talks about the different releases of that thing. And I was in the same boat as you. When I saw it, I was like, okay, look at this thing. It's a cure in search of a disease that no one has, right?
Yeah.
That's literally what I thought. But then talking to Larry about the process and the problem that he was trying to solve and how he solved it and the passion that he put into, you know, he and the team put into making that thing, it does solve it's almost like it's a product that solves problems that you didn't know you had, or in other words, it gives you abilities to do things that you couldn't do before that you never even considered. For example, getting those low angle shots that are impossibly low, you know, that are stabilized with like a car driving over the camera, right? How do you do that?
Yeah.
Right. And get the shot. Or like you said, impossible angles, like strapping it to a tree or to the front of a ship or something like that, you know, being safe, of course, but all these impossible places where you just didn't think that you could do it. But once you get one, you're like, oh, I can put my camera over there if I wanted to, you know, and just go to temp. Beyond the tripod. Yeah.
One of the tricks that I've learned over the 6-7 years that I've had one is to remember that you have it. Because, like you say, sometimes you'll be standing there for a while like, this doesn't work. If only I had I do have a thing. You have to remember to use it as part of your problem solving, because it's so easy just to stick in a bag and forget that you actually have it. And I've found ourselves on location a few times, you know, trying to work out an angle for a shot or trying to find out how to attach something to maybe a crossbar of a bike rack system on top of a vehicle or something, thinking, just nothing's going to work. Oh, hang on, I forgot I had this thing. So got to remember that you have it.
Yeah, that's the trick, right? This is good, man. I love these kind of picks because they're not things that people would have thought about maybe necessarily on their own, but once you see them, you're like, oh yeah, of course, and I'll get one of those. And you just go order it and get it. I mean, when we release this show, we're just about 2 weeks away from Christmas, so still got time to order to get it in time for Christmas. So I have a couple more things. You good on time? You got a couple more things to share, or are we good?
Oh, I can pull my desk apart all night long here. So
it's
yeah,
just like, here's another piece.
Keep going.
So a friend of mine, Troy Miller, sent me this text actually several weeks ago, and he's like, "Oh, have you seen these bags that Peak Design just put out?" And I was like, "Ugh, another Peak Design bag." I love their bags, but I'm like, I have all of them. I feel like what could they possibly put out that I would want, beyond what I already have? But turns out
it's an expensive phrase. That's an expensive phrase. When someone says, "Have you seen what Peak Design's just released?" You just know it's going to cost you money.
Yeah, just pull your card out. Just pull your credit card out. Yeah, you pull it out. Yeah, you're going to get it. So what I ended up getting was this guy. So this is the Peak Design Travel Duffel 35-liter bag, 35L. And it is it looks like it's just a simple cavernous duffel bag, right? And that's basically what it is, with a few little tricks in there, little Peak Design tricks. Like, there are different magnets around the bag that make things kind of snap together. It's got inside pockets here. Of course, there'll be B-roll here that shows all this stuff. But inside pockets here that are waterproof. So if you want to put things that need to be either protected from getting wet, or they are wet and you need them not to get other things wet, they can go in there. It's got outside pockets here. It's got a pocket specifically built for your IDs. I believe that is RFID resistant. It is made of that same Peak Design stuff that you're familiar with, like this super tough ballistic nylon plastic carbon fiber hybrid, whatever this stuff is. But it feels like you wouldn't be able to puncture it if you tried. But it's great. So these handles come off. They even say you can use it as a backpack. I haven't tried that yet, but you can wear it as a backpack if you want to configure it that way. And it's great. So the reason I got that one, and then there's a 65L version, 65-liter version of it, or 65L. Is it liter? But it is the 65 is obviously bigger. They are designed in proportion to fit Peak Design's cube system. So Peak Design has this, as Frederick disappears off camera, Peak Design has this system of cubes like this. This is one of them. This is my toiletry case, right, from Peak Design. So it goes in there. So whatever Peak Design bag I'm taking, or whatever trip that I'm kind of loading out for, configuring, I can throw whatever I need in it because they're in these cubes. So I have this one for toiletries. So it goes in, if I'm going on a shorter trip, it'll go in the duffel, or it can go in a camera bag or in my luggage or whatever. But being able to have everything segmented out it's kind of awesome, because you have all your toiletries in one thing. They have other kinds of bags for clothing, like this one, for example. This one is this is a Packing Cube 7L, and it's expandable. So in this little bag, you'd be surprised at how much stuff you can get in it. But once you get everything packed, they neatly fit inside of whatever case that you need to bring on that trip, which makes the whole packing thing much easier. Because I don't know about you, but when I pack, the bed is the staging area. Like, okay, I need to bring this many socks, this many underwear, I need pants. Oh, it's going to be cold at night, I need to go out, so I need to bring a jacket. So I'm doing all the things, and then it all goes into luggage. This way, most of that's done already. Like, if you're the person that waits till the last minute and you're like, oh, I got to get my toiletries together, and you just grab stuff off the sink and throw it in a bag, and you always forget something. What I do is that bag always stays packed. And after every trip, I go through it real quick to make sure that I replenish and reset it for the next trip. And then I don't touch anything in there. So when I need to travel, I just throw that in there, and I know I have everything I need. And with this Peak Design system, it all just kind of goes in. So I have a number of Peak Design bags. I don't have time to go through all of them, but the ones that I mainly use daily are the Everyday Messenger. Well, no, not the Everyday Messenger, the Everyday Backpack. is what I use, the smaller or the regular sized one, which is great for, a camera, a couple lenses, all the things that go along with that, an iPad, all that can go in the bag. Longer trips, I have their travel bag, which is gigantic and then also designed for the cube system. So now using the cubes in a larger bag, I can have my lenses, my camera, my drone kit can easily just get thrown in there because it's all in one little kit. So I don't have to, where did I put the charger and the extra propellers and all these things? They're all in one little cube. And if I need to do drone stuff, I just take that cube and throw it in the bag and go, right? So really easy and really cool. The Peak Design system, it's not for everyone, obviously, right? It appeals to certain people that like a certain level of organization. I have certain friends that are just like, dude, I just throw everything in my bag. I don't care. I don't even use lens caps. I'm not that guy. I'm like, I am the guy, like, I paid a lot of money for that lens. I'm putting it in a bag or something, and it goes in the case. But yeah, so check that out. The duffel bag in particular, I was surprised by because it was one of my first sight unseen purchases of a bag because I saw it and I knew Peak Design's quality. I know the folks over at Peak Design, so I trust them. And I needed a duffel specifically for trips with when we go out for gymnastics meets or things like that. They're usually around the Bay Area, but sometimes they start really early in the morning, which means we need to make an overnight thing and go out the night before. I don't want to bring my my carry-on roller bag with me. It's too much. A duffel bag with a couple clothes in there and your toiletries, you're good to go. And for me, I'm a jean and t-shirt guy. So it's like the toiletry bag, a pair of jeans, some underwear, a t-shirt. I'm dialed in. I'm good. I could last for days, of course, washing occasionally, but I can last indefinitely with just that loadout. So yeah, go check that out. Go check out those Peak Design bags.
Good
the
stuff.
duffel. Yeah, the big one and the little duffel are pretty slick.
Yeah. I mean, full disclosure, I'm fortunate to be friends with Peter Daring, who started Peak Design, and I have all their gear. Like, I'm a sucker for their gear whenever they launch something. But here's a little user tip for you. You mentioned the packing cube is expandable, right? Because it has that zip that makes it bigger.
Yep,
that's actually the wrong way around. It's not expandable; it's compressible. So what you want to do is pack all your t-shirts and all your stuff in it till you can just close it, and then squash it down and zip it closed. Zip that expandable bit closed, and suddenly all your t-shirts are half the volume. It's a compression. It's a compression zip, not an expansion zip.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, I was thinking of it the opposite. That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
So fill it with t-shirts and then pack them down half size by using the zip to squeeze them down.
I love it. Cool. All right, let's do a couple more. What else you got?
Couple more. Like, I'm going to hold something up here, and I think you also have something similar to hold up. So shall we see if we're clever enough? Do split screen and see if we're clever enough both to hold up a similar kind of thing. An SSD drive, right? Yeah. Yes. So Frederick and I are both going to recommend that a cool little thing to buy a photographer is a solid state drive. This one's a Samsung T7, I think they're called. This one's probably a 2 terabyte. Yeah, 2 terabyte one. This one hasn't been out on the field yet. This one's brand new because it has no label on it. So this one will get labeled the next time when it gets formatted and ready to use. The form factor is one of the things. So, of course, all the benefits of SSD, right? No moving parts, pretty rugged, pretty dust-proof. I've mentioned before on the show that, I was shooting a lot of content on the iPhone 15 recently while I was on a road trip across the US. And with the iPhone 15 Pros being USB-C compatible, we can now record video content in Apple ProRes and log on the iPhone, which is incredible in itself, but it's a huge file. So the ability to offload it straight to SSD is fantastic. So USB-C from the phone straight into an SSD, suddenly you have off-site storage of your iPhone. And these things are small enough that you can Velcro them or tape them to back of your laptop, side of your your phone. The form factor I love. This one also fits into a little clamp that I have at the bottom of my gimbal for my video work. So when I'm using my little DJI gimbals and stuff, I can have this on the bottom using the iPhone through a USB-C cable to record to these. I'd highly recommend, if you're looking for a last minute gift, a little solid state drive, but get a USB-C one. Make sure you get USB-C to power it and to offload from all the devices we have. This one, 2 terabyte, I think it's about $145. Interested to see what one you have there. I think I know what it is. It looks like an OWC one.
Yeah, this one is the OWC, you're not going to be able to see it, the OWC Electron. And what I liked about this drive, this is USB 3.2, USB-C 3.2, or the USB-C 3.2 standard, 10 gigabits per second. This thing is hard to explain. So if you have an Apple TV, one of the later model Apple TVs, and you have that remote, that kind of aluminum remote, this feels like it's from that same family, right? It's made out of that same, it has that same feel to it. It feels like it was milled out of a single block of metal, right? Just boom, and then the drive mechanics inside. As a result, I feel like I could skip this across a lake or throw it across the street, go pick it up, plug it in, and mount it. I'm not going to do that, but it feels like I could. And to your point, Alistair, the size of this thing is what got me. Again, 2 terabytes. I mean, God, 2 terabytes. And look how tiny this is, right? So right there, this is iPhone 15 Pro Max. So boom, fits right there, or like that, you're good to go. I know some people are making cases now. Some companies are making cases that are accommodating for smaller size drives for the phone, because now you can, like Alistair's saying, you can offload ProRes over directly to an SSD that's attached to the USB-C port. So this drive makes sense for that, or a lot of drives do, but this one specifically because it's so tiny. Look at that. Look at that. It just fits. I mean, I know I have gigantic hands, but no, this is awesome. So I would highly recommend this. And I've done, I'll post some of the specs in the show notes on both of these drives, but this one I've done full TWiP episode recordings, edits, Final Cut Pro, all the things directly from this with no issue at all. It's just brilliant, and it's tiny, goes in the camera bag, and you're good to go. Alistair, you remember how big drives used to be? If we can take a walk down memory lane for like a 1 terabyte spinning platter drive, right?
Everybody must have seen the picture of it's like a 500 meg hard drive on a forklift going into the back of a cargo airplane, kind of thing. Yeah. That type of size, the size of a small room. And you can get 4 terabytes of these little ones, just incredible.
Yeah,
probably more than 4 terabyte now. And when you're shooting in ProRes or 4K or whatever, or just on assignment out of off the grid for many days, weeks at a time, then these little rugged SSDs are invaluable now. Great presence.
Yep, very good. And we'll do one more pick because we're coming right up to the end of this one. But we're gonna do another episode after this one that will be the reverse. So this episode was intended to be gifts for photographers, and the next one will be gifts for photographers to give. So if you're a photographer and you're like, ugh, my brain has been all about this photography and AI and all this stuff I don't know what to get anybody. Boom. We're gonna give you a bunch of suggestions of what to get. Not that any of the things that we mentioned in this episode wouldn't be good for non-photographers, but this next one is going to be specifically for the non-photographers. And I may have to take a trip to Costco to look around to see what to give. I'm not kidding though. Costco, I have a Costco card and it expired like 5 years ago, so I need to go renew it because I haven't been in there. But apparently they have some pretty good stuff in there, especially for gift giving and, non-techie type stuff, which is kind of my theme of this year, is not so much techie stuff. Like or photographer for, like you mentioned at the beginning, cameras and lenses and computers and tablets and, all those things. But the other things that go around those that make those work, that will probably outlast the tech, right? Because they're more tools than tech. So, but you want to go next and give us your final.
My final one might actually be my favorite one, and it is the one that literally sits in front of me all day, every day, and I had to climb under the table earlier to unhook all the wires and stuff. This might be the most expensive one of the day, but this is my Loop Deck Plus. This is the most invaluable tool on my desk. This is a control surface that helps me edit my photographs. This is not a new tool by any means. Loop Deck has been around for a good number of years now. This is the second version of the Loop Deck, but this specific one I use for my still photography. It connects to my editing tools and allows me to have kind of manual, analog control, if you like, over the adjustments I make. So rather than going in with a mouse and moving all the sliders in your editing app, you can assign, or in fact, what Loop Deck does really well is it pre-assigns those. So when you plug this in and you open Capture One, you open Lightroom, whatever, these buttons are all mapped to the tools within those platforms. So I can adjust, my contrast just by dialing in the right amount of contrast, my exposure. Of course, you can remap all these. There are also buttons as well as dials. We've got all sorts of control surfaces, lots of programmable buttons. So you can do lots of hotkey switching, lots of sort of micros by assigning to these buttons. I just love it. There's a bit of a learning curve, obviously, to get the muscle memory to remember what you're adjusting and where it is. But having lived with this for a number of years now, I can edit images way faster than I ever could using a mouse and adjusting the sliders. But what I also love is I can adjust multiple things at once just without moving my hand away. I can adjust contrast, I can add a bit of vignette, I can, dial down the highlights. I can do that all at once. Like the interesting thing about a lot of these editing programs is we think you have to move one slider at a time. You can move multiple of them. It's not possible with a mouse. So you could be adding a bit of contrast while you're also touching up, dialing down or up the brightness or the highlights simultaneously, which I find really interesting. As I say, It's been on my desk for many, many years. I haven't found anything to beat it yet when it comes to editing still photography. I think I checked earlier, it's on offer just now. It's about $230 US on an offer at the moment. So it's not inexpensive, but if you edit, repeatedly every day in the stills world, I find this invaluable. I also have its big brother. I hate to see it.
Let me see it.
I also have the Loop Deck CT. Which is an incredible programmable surface. I prefer the Loop Deck Plus for editing my still images. Whenever I'm doing video and I need jog wheels and I need programmable, touchable surfaces, I switch to the CT for video and for audio. If I'm editing a podcast in Audition, if I'm editing some video work, I'll switch to the CT for that. This is as useful in the audio music world as it is in the visual world of Premiere or photography. But talking about pure photography, I still prefer the Loop Deck Plus, the little brother. I just prefer all the different dials on that one for photography.
As I told you before we started recording this, I've been lusting after that. Basically all of those, but specifically the Loop Deck Plus, I think it was. Or there's the CT, the one with the buttons on it?
This one. This one's a CT. This is on offer at the moment. It's $500. It's a big expense. If you don't do a lot of editing within multiple programs. If you're just a Lightroom person or a Capture One person, the Loop Deck Plus is perfect. But if you use the entire Creative Suite, if you're into Audition, you're into Premiere Pro, you're into all sorts of music, DAWs type stuff, the CT is pretty amazing. Piece of technology.
Yeah, one of those will be had eventually. It's just, we were talking, my desk is purposely not gigantic because I don't like a lot of stuff on my desk, so when I do introduce something into the work surface, it has to really pull its weight. And that one, I feel like, am I going to use it? So if I do get it, especially at that price point, if I do get it, I need to really lean into it and embrace it and not just look at it as a pretty piece of tech on the desk. So, all right. What's
your final one? Let's see it.
I have two. I have one physical one and one non-physical. So the physical one is not new, but you may not have it yet. And it's from a friend of mine. His name is Joe McNally. And he wrote this book.
Oh, Joe.
Yeah, called The Real Deal.
He truly is the real deal.
Field Notes from the Life of a Working Photographer by Joe McNally. Get this book. If you know who Joe McNally is, I don't need to say anything else. Just go get his book, right? If you don't know who Joe McNally is, he is the real deal, literally. He is a photographer that has walked the walk, got the scars, got the bad back and all that comes from being a real working commercial and news gather, just the real photographer that understands more about light and probably has forgotten more about light than we will know, right? He's just that guy that can look at a scene and say, oh yeah, F16, F60, whatever. He's that guy. And his work, I would credit Joe for spending a lot of my money over the years, mainly on speed lights, but I've had him on the show. Yeah, Nikon gear. Maybe that's Joe and the Air Force are the main reasons that I shoot Nikon. But Joe he's one of those people that has the weird ability to teach a complex subject and make it feel approachable. Even coming from someone with as many accolades and industry respect as Joe McNally has, when you listen to him talk or when you have a conversation with him, and I'll link to some of the interviews I've done with him, but when you speak with him, you feel like you're just chatting with a friend or an uncle or someone who just likes photography as much as you do, and it comes off that way. Only with this golden thread of I am amazing at photography running through it.
Thread of pure excellence.
It was the thread of excellence in there. So yeah, definitely check that out. It's called The Real Deal: Field Notes from the Life of a Working Photographer by Joe McNally. Yeah, The Real Deal. So check that out. The other one that I want to throw out there is, and I'll, again, put some B-roll in there for this one, but it's a site that you may have heard of called Masterclass at masterclass.com. And I was gifted a subscription to Masterclass a year or so ago, and I'd seen their ads. I'm like, whatever. I've got YouTube. We got, any number of streaming services. I got books. I got all the things. Do I really need more education? But I got gifted it, right? Because they have this whole thing where you can gift a subscription for a certain amount of time to people to let them try it. So I tried it and instantly hooked, right? Because it is unlike the traditional tutorials that you see online about various things. These are tutorials that are from people in the industry that are typically at the top of their game. Like, Serena Williams teaches tennis, or some famous Gordon Ramsay, yeah, on cooking, or if you want to, whatever the topic, if there's a person at the top of that game right now, where there's directing or screenwriting or photography or some sport or DJing or house music, all these things, they're in there. But the twist is they're professionally produced, and they're not just, hey, talking head in front of screen, I'm going to teach you how to do A, B, and C, switch to screen share, teach you the thing, then back to talking head on the screen. These things feel like they were shot with a professional film crew. In locations that are not just a home office or something like that. It is like I forget who the author was that I was watching, but he was in a bar, and basically you're kind of sitting in the bar with him as he's explaining how he writes these books that go on to sell millions and millions of copies. Like, what's his process? So imagine if I could sit down with Alistair and pick his brain about photography, and we're at a bar somewhere in Scotland, and he's just like, oh yeah, this is how I do it, and then I did this. Oh, by the way, don't ever do this because that screwed me and I lost 3 years. So it's like that, and it feels really good, and it works on your, obviously all your devices. And for me, that kind of content I like to view on Apple TV, and there's an Apple TV app for it as well. So really, really interesting choice, just to kind of get like your brain thinking and juices flowing about certain things. I'm on this cooking kick right now. I want to learn how to cook. So the Gordon Ramsay is perfect for that, right? I want to learn how to cook different dishes and be better about the science of cooking versus just, oh, my mom told me to mix these things together and cook them at this time. I want to understand more about how it all works. Masterclass. Perfect for that, and perfect for the creative in your life, because it'll tickle those other creative strings, right?
I've been fortunate to watch 2 Annie Leibovitz, of course.
Yes,
as a masterclass.
Yep.
And the one I really, really loved, and it was the first one I got to see, was basic music production with Hans Zimmer. It doesn't get much better.
I haven't watched that one yet.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
I watched the Dead
in the
Mouse
studio
one.
with them. The Dead Mouse one, that's pretty cool too. So, lots of cool things. So, some great gift ideas, a lot of physical things there. I'm going to sneak in a few more before you finish.
Go for it.
Under one little title, if you are struggling, and these are a little bit obvious choices, but if you're struggling for a photographer and you don't know what to get them, subscriptions are always a great idea. And I can think of 3 brands that offer subscriptions that your photographer friends would love. Of course, I'm talking about TWiP Pro. So you could get your loved ones, your photographer loved ones, your photographer friends, TWiP Pro membership. Of course, there's Flickr Pro, and of course there's SmugMug. 3 brands that Frederick and I represent, obviously, so we have a bit of a vested interest in mentioning those. Put my hands up to that. But subscriptions in general, whether it be the brands that we work for, or Capture One, Lightroom, these are items that cost money that your photographer friend would love if you dropped them a little gift of a membership for any of those over the holiday season. So
absolutely,
give that a consideration.
Easy, yes. Right? I mean, you can do that right now while you're watching this and get it done and not have to worry about it. But yeah, definitely, subscriptions like that, or education is always good, right? For photographers, education. The things that get me, I think, are education, things that are inspirational, and things that are entertaining. So education, inspiration, and entertainment. So those 3 things that are tied to a specific genre. Like when I say entertainment in the photography world, I'm thinking like various podcasts, which obviously are free, but even like masterclass is entertaining. We should do a show on our favorite podcasts as well, and just kind of do a photography podcast roundup on a podcast and make it meta. But so masterclass is the bomb, I think, if you want to give a classy gift to someone in your life, whether they're creative or not creative. You just can't go wrong, because it's consumable on all devices, your Apple TV, like I said, your phone, your laptop, your computer, your tablet, whatever. You can pick up and continue wherever you happen to be. I tend to listen to them in the car sometimes and then come back and watch them because I'm driving, right? So yeah, really good. And it tickles that lifelong learner kind of bit of your brain where you're just kind of thirsty for learning new things and you want to try something new. Let them give you a kickstart. Try writing, right? Have you ever written a novel or a short story? Go watch, a famous author explain. I don't know if Stephen King's in there. He might be in there. But go watch a famous author and get some tips and lay it out and go to town and have fun with it. You never know. You might have that in you, right? So, all right. So let's leave it right there, Alistair. Next week, like I said, the next one we'll do it on gifts for photographers to give to non-photographers. So basically everything else, that's interesting. And I'm challenging Alistair. I'm going to challenge you to pick gifts.
See how obscure we can get.
Yes. Yeah. See how obscure, but let's keep it under. I'm not even going to throw a number out there, but let's keep the price point reasonable, and let's go wild. Let's see if we can outdo each other on the wildness of the gift. But it has to be something plausible. It can't be something that's just like a gag. It has to be something that somebody might actually want to buy, and we'll see who wins. All right,
thanks, Frederick.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for doing this again.
Thanks for helping me spend money.
Oh my God, I know. This year, my friend. Oh yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and thank you for the shout out on the TWiP membership. I'll link over to that, and of course Flickr and SmugMug Pro. Be sure to check those out, and all the other things that we mentioned. They'll all be listed in the show notes for this episode. Go forth, purchase, be merry, make somebody happy this Christmas season, and we'll leave it right there. Alistair, I want to give you the final word of the episode. So, what do you want to say before we kill it?
Tighten up all your sugary stuff.
Now I gotta look that up. Do you say sugary or sugary?
Sugary.
What is the word?
Sugary.
Never heard that word. I've never heard that word. Learn something new every day. Look at that. Sugary. I'm gonna use that in a sentence. I promise to use that in a sentence today somehow. All right, cool. All right, thanks, Alistair. Have a good evening, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.
This is TWiP.